We are glad to welcome you to our channel. Kindly subscribe to our channel and share our videos with your friends and relations. And click on the bell icon for instant notification whenever new videos are uploaded on this channel. Rest assured that we are going to have a very exciting and inspiring discussion. Let's dive into the lesson right away. Welcome back to English Classes Online. Today, we are going to look at the best tips for British versus American English. English is the most widely spoken language in the world, and it is used in many countries as either a first or second language. However, there are many differences between British and American English that can cause confusion for learners and even native speakers. In this video, we are going to explore some of the key differences between these two varieties of English. I am Benjamin. Let's dive right in. First, let's understand what we mean by British English and American English. British English refers to the variant of English used predominantly in the United Kingdom and its colonies. American English, on the other hand, is the form of English used primarily in the United States. These two variants have evolved separately over time, leading to distinct linguistic characteristics. And that is really why we want to look at these distinct linguistic characteristics that, make the British English differ from American English. One of the most obvious differences between British and American English is pronunciation. So let's take a look at some examples. The differences between these two varieties of English. One of them is the sound of as in sports. In British English, it is sports. In American English, it is sports. Then we have the long R in British English, as in fast, is pronounced as a short vowel in American English. And so instead of fast in British English, what we have is fast in American English. The sound of T in better is pronounced D or something like that in American English. So instead of better, you have better, or something like that. Now, another area of difference is in the pronunciation of R. R is sometimes silent in British English, but it is pronounced everywhere in American English. Then the sound of E, as in privacy in British English, is pronounced I. The diphthong I in American English, as you have in privacy. British English, privacy. American English, privacy. Now, moving further, we want to look at other things, in greater detail. Here we have words, we have British pronunciation, and we have American pronunciation. Now, the word duty, D-U-T-Y, is pronounced duty in British English. In American English, it is duty, duty. Then we have tube. Tube in British pronunciation is tube in American pronunciation. News in British pronunciation is news in American pronunciation. Nude in British pronunciation is nude in American pronunciation. Duke, British. Duke, American. Tuesday, Tuesday, British. Tuesday, Tuesday, American. Enthusiasm, enthusiasm, British. Enthusiasm, enthusiasm. That take note of the slight difference. Into, into, into. All right. Then stupid, stupid in British English is stupid, stupid in American English. Then you have suit, British, suit, American, do, British, do also. There's no difference in the pronunciation of do. Do in British English is do also in American English. But then tube, British, tube, American. Now let's move on. Then we have other words. Box in British is box in American. Chocolate, British. Chocolate, American. Clock, British. Clock, American. Cost, British. Call, American. So the difference here is that in British English, it is short or cost. In American, it is long or cost. Then in British English, it is dog. In American, it is dog. Gun, gone. Got, got. Hot, hot. Job, job. Lot, lots. Not, not. Off, up. Possible, possible, of course, British is possible, American. British, possible, American, possible. Sorry, British. Sorry, American. Stop, British. Stop, American. Want, British. Want, American. Wasn't, British. Wasn't, American. What, British. What, American. So when a British says what, an American will say what. All right. Moving on, we want to look at vocabulary. Okay. Uh, well, it might interest you to know that vocabulary is another area where British and American English diverge. Okay, many everyday words differ between the two areas. So we want to begin to look at the various differences. Let's begin to look at the differences. Here we have American English on the left, British English on the right. Apartment in American English is called flat in British English. College, American. University, British. Vacation, American. Holiday, British. Schedule, American. Timetable, British. Airplane, American. Aeroplane, British. Mailbox, American. Postbox, British. Cookie, American. Biscuit, British. Sweater, American. Jumper, British. Then here we have British English on the left, American English on the right. Football, British. Soccer, American. City center, British. Downtown, American. Autumn, British. Fall, American. Shop in British English is store in American English. Wardrobe, British. Closet, American. Cinema, British. Movie theater, American. Shop assistant, British. Sales clerk, American. Ground floor, British. First floor, American. Car park, British. Parking lot, American. Fortnight, British. 2 weeks, American. Pavement, British. Sidewalk, American. Bill, British. Check, American. Now moving forward, we want to look at the spelling differences. And of course, you need to understand that spelling is perhaps the most obvious and prominent difference between British and American English, because you could easily think that somebody has spelled something wrong if you came across British English when you are used to American English and vice versa. All right, so the following examples will try to give you common spelling differences, although there are many more of such differences. We are going to look at just a few. Now, let's begin to look at a few examples, okay? Now, we look at spelling differences where you have OU as in color and favor, you have simply O in American English. British English will use OU in color, COLOUR, but in American English, it is simply O, so you have COLOR. Favor, FAVOUR in British English is simply with O, FAVOR. Now we look at other differences. Words that are spelled with RE in British English, as we have in center and liter, has ER instead of RE in American English, as we have in center, CENTER, while in British English it is CENTRE. So there are different words that have these spelling differences. Then T is another area where you have T in British English as you have in got and want. Then you have either double T or ED in American English, such as you have in gotten and bond. Band. Instead of band, you have bond. Instead of got, you have gotten. So that is the difference. Then you have CE in British English in words like defense and license, has SE in American English. So you have defense and license with SE is in American English, but CE in British English. So please take note of this. Where you have double L in British English, as you have in woolen and jeweler, you have single L in American English, as you have in woolen and jeweler. Now, the reverse is the case where you have single L in British English, which is the final consonant. It is doubled in American English. You have the word fulfill and skillful, and you have single L in British English, but double L in American English. Words that end in OGUE, as you have in catalog and dialogue, has only OG in American English, as you have in catalog and dialogue. Where you have ISE in British English, as you have in realize and analyze, you have IZE in American English, as you have in realize and analyze. EN in British English, as you have in ensure, is IN in American English, as you have in ensure. So take note of these differences. In British English, you have double M in program, but single M in the same program in American English. Where you have CY in British English, as you have in prophecy, you have SY in American English, as you have in prophecy. Of course, in British English, you have prophecy ending in CY. In American English, it ends in SY. Then where you have P, all right, in British English, as you have in zip, zipper, then you have double P in American English. Still on spelling, we want to look at other spelling differences. We have words ending in OR versus OUR. And then we want to look at American English versus British English. American English will use OR, while British English will use OUR. We earlier saw it in favor. Now, let's look at other examples, armor, behavior. Now, the first is American, the second is British. Okay, so take note of this. You have color, you have endeavor, you have favorites, you have flavor, you have glamour, you have honor, you have humor, you have labor, you have neighbor, you have order, you have rumor, savor, splendor, vigor. Okay. Then other example, other word spelling differences, we earlier saw it, LL versus L. Again, in American English, it is LL. In British English, it is L. Enrollment, fulfill, jewelry, skillful. Then words ending in OG versus OGUE, we earlier saw it. Examples, analog, boogeyman, catalog, dialogue. Okay. Moving further, we look at words ending in CK or K versus QUE. Again, you have American English ending in CK or K and British English ending in QUE, as you have in bank, check, checker. Then words ending in ZE versus SE, American English, ZE, British English, SE. Examples, analyze, apologize, criticize, memorize, minimize, organize, paralyze, patronize, prize, realize, recognize, socialize, specialize. Moving further, we have words ending in ER versus RE. We earlier saw it. American English ends in ER, British English in RE. Example, center, amphitheater, caliber, fiber, kilometer, liter, lover, luster, maneuver, meager, meter, Feber, scepter, slumber, and theater. Moving forward, we have words ending in E versus OE or AE. Again, American English ends in E. British English will end in OE or AE. For example, encyclopedia, estrogen, leukemia, maneuver, medieval, pediatric, then words ending in DG versus DGE or G versus GU. For example, of course, American English ends in DG, British English ends in DGE, and in some cases, American English ends in G and British English ends in GU. Then we have aging, arguments, judgments. Then words ending in ed versus t. American English will end in ed, British English in t, as you have in dreamed versus dreamt, burned versus bent, lend versus lent. Okay. Moving forward, we have words ending in ENSE versus ENCE. American English ends in ENSE, British English in ENCE. For example, defense, license, offense, pretense, words ending in a vowel plus L. Again, you have American English versus British English. Counseling, okay, equaling. You see, where you have American English using single L, you have British English doubling the L. So we have quelled, quelling, modeling, quarreling, signaling, traveled, traveler, traveling. Then this brings us to vocabulary, another important area where British and American English diverge. So let's start with the vocabulary differences in the area of home and building. But before we do that, of course, let's start with that right away. Uh, Home and building. Let's look at home and building. Here we have British English and we have American English. So where we have bath versus bathtub. British English uses bath to refer to a large container in the bathroom, while American English uses bathtub. There you have flat versus apartment, okay? And so on and so forth. So you can go through the list uh, where you have British English talking about first floor, American English calls it second floor. Reception in British English is front desk in American English. You in British English is restroom in American English. Then you have dustbin, trash can, garden, backyard, sweet shop, candy store, trolley, cat, tap, faucet, flat, apartment. Flat in British English is apartment in American English. Touch in British English is flashlight in American English. British is wash basin, sink American. The cinema British, the movies American. Lift British, elevator American. Wardrobe British, closet American. Push chair British, stroller American. Now, this brings us to the next in the area of education. A mark in British English is a grade in American English. Headmaster British, principal American. Lunch British, bag lunch American. Timetable British, schedule American. Academic staff, British. Faculty, American. Maths, British. Math, American. Rubber, British. Eraser, American. Clean soles, British. Chin shoes, American. Full professor, British. Professor, American. Open the British. Open house, American. Staff room, British. Teachers, lunch, American. Primary school, British. Elementary school, American. Holiday, British. Vacation, American. Break time, British. Recess, American. Full stop, British. Period, American. Exam, British. Test, American. And this brings us to uh, British versus American English in the area of transportation. Where British says fire engine, Americans will say fire truck. Driving license, British. Driver's license, American. Pavement, British. Sidewalk, American. Timetable, British. Schedule, American. Car park, British. Parking lot, American. Gear lever, British. Gear lever, shift. Yeah, gear shift, American. Petrol, British. Gas, American. Aeroplane, British. Airplane, American. Crossroads, British. Intersection, American. Lorry, British. Truck, American. Roundabout, British. Traffic circle, American. Tire with T-Y-R-E, American. Tire with T-I-R-E, American. Boot, British. Trunk, American. Motorbike, British. Motorcycle, American. Indicator, British. Blinker, American. Windscreen, British. Windshield, American. So these are differences that we find in terms of transportation vocabulary. Now, this brings us to differences in terms of grammar between British English and American English. Grammar rules can differ in certain areas between British and American English. So let's explore a couple of examples. Americans can use either the present perfect or the past simple in these sentences. For example, I've lost my key. Have you seen it? Or I lost my key. Did you see it? Now, in British English, the present perfect is used for recent actions. All right. And especially with just, already, and yet. For example, John has washed the dishes. Look, we've already eaten our lunch. I've just seen Elaine. Now, American English, Sally isn't here. She's gone out or she went out. So you can use either the present perfect or the past simple. Have you corrected your homework yet? Or did you correct your work yet? Okay, so that is what we find in terms of the differences. On one hand, Americans can use either the present perfect or the past simple, but the British will usually use the present perfect for recent actions. Okay? Then, moving forward, we see that Americans normally use the past simple with ever and never, but the present perfect is possible. For example, did you ever play baseball or have you ever played baseball? You can use any of these options. I don't know who she is. I've never seen her before. or I never saw her before. So you can use either the present perfect or the past simple. Now, on the other hand, the British normally use the present perfect with ever and never, not the past simple. For example, have you ever played cricket? The child has never seen snow before. So in the use of present perfect and past simple, we can see the differences. Okay. Now let's move on to collective noun. Collective nouns refer to words that describe a group of people, animals, or things, so you can call them group nouns as well. The use of collective nouns can vary between American and British English. So let's examine the differences. Okay, American English. In the US, a group noun takes a singular verb. Take note of that. Now, in Britain, a group noun or a collective noun can usually take either a singular or a plural verb. So take note of the differences. In the US, a group noun takes a singular verb most of the time. For example, the crowd was getting restless, or Sweden plays Germany tomorrow. In British English, you can say the crowd was or were getting restless. Or you can say Sweden plays or play Germany tomorrow. Now, the difference here has to do with, in British English, it has to do with the perception of what the group, how you use the group, okay? Uh, in British English, group nouns can be treated as either singular or plural, depending on the context and the speaker's preference, you know. Now, let me explain this to you with the examples. Now, when you look at the crowd was restless, you are looking at the crowd as a group, as a single unit. But if you are looking at the same group in terms of, you know, referring to the actions taken by individual members of that group, then you use the plural. The crowd were getting restless. You are now looking at the individual members of that group and their individual actions. But if you are just looking at the group as a single unit, then you can use the singular verb. Sweden, Sweden plays Germany tomorrow. We are looking at the team, the Swedish team, as a single unit. All right. But when you are saying Sweden play Germany tomorrow, you are looking at the actions that the individual members of the team are going to take. Okay. Now another uh, area we want to look at is the use of the definite article, the. Okay, Americans can leave out the, for example, piano. On the other hand, American English can also include the definite article. For example, I can play the piano. So there is an option here. Americans can leave out the definite article, but sometimes in American English, you can also use the definite article in this type of sentence. I can play piano or I can play the piano. Now, the British use the, that definite article, with a musical instrument. It has to be included. So you have, I can play the piano. I can play the piano. So is mandatory when talking about musical instrument. Now, on another area of difference is where Americans say in the hospital. This definite article is included. My sister is still in the hospital to mean that she is sick and is being taken care of there. But in British English, British say in hospital. My sister is still in hospital means she's still hospitalized. In British English, this definite article is not usually included. Okay, if you go to the hospital, you you are not likely to be hospitalized there. You may have gone there to visit someone, but if you are in hospital in British English, you are obviously hospitalized. You are sick and you are being treated there. In American English, if you say my sister is still in the hospital, it means she's still being treated there. Okay, so these are the slight differences. So let's now move on uh, to the next area of difference. And here we are looking at prepositions, okay? Use of prepositions, okay? That's another very important area. Differences are seen in British versus American English, okay? So let's look at a few examples. We want to begin with the preposition to versus the preposition with. British English would say, I talked to Jane. In American English, it is I talked with Jane. I talked to Jane, British. I talked with Jane, American. Then take a look at the use of to, Monday to Sunday, you know, to refer to the duration, Monday to Sunday. In American English, it is Monday through Sunday, Monday through Sunday. Then we look at at versus on. British English uses at for the weekend, at the weekend. American English would say on the weekend, on the weekend. Then we have for in British English versus in American English. For example, I haven't seen her for weeks, British. I haven't seen her in weeks, American. Okay. Now let's move on to the next area of difference, and we want to look at other differences such as will or shall. Now, in British English, will or shall can be used with I and we. For example, I will or I shall be late this evening. The questions, shall I and shall we, are used to ask for advice in British English. For example, which way shall we go? Now, in American English, shall is unusual. So you, in American English, will is used. For example, I will be late this evening. It's unusual to say, I shall be late this evening. Now, should is used in American English in place of shall. Should I and should we are used to ask for advice. For example, which way should we go? Okay, which way should we go? Still on other examples, we want to look at need. How need is used in British versus American English. Now, in British English, you can use needn't do or don't need to do. Okay, for example, we needn't hurry or we don't need to hurry. We needn't hurry or we don't need to hurry. In American English, needn't is unusual. The usual form is don't need to. For example, we don't need to hurry. So Americans would not usually say we needn't hurry. They would say we don't need to hurry. Then the word demand in British English. After demand, insist, and other similar words, you can use should in British English. For example, I demanded that you should apologize. We insisted that something should be done about the problem. In American English, the subjunctive is normally used. Should is unusual after demand, insist, and others. For example, I demanded that he apologize. We insisted that something be done about the problem. So these are the differences we can find. Okay. So now these are just a few examples of the differences you may encounter between British and American English. It is important to be aware of these distinctions to enhance your understanding and communication skills. Okay, it's very important. Okay, you need to be aware of these distinctions, these differences, in order to enhance your understanding and communication skills. Remember that both British and American English are valid forms of the language shaped by their respective cultural and historical influences. So you need to embrace the diversity and enjoy exploring the richness of both varieties. So that wraps up our lesson on best tips for distinguishing between British and American English. By being mindful of pronunciation, vocabulary, spelling, and grammar differences, you can navigate both varieties with confidence. Join us next time for another exciting topic. Until then, keep exploring and learning. See you in the next class, and goodbye for now. Many thanks for watching today's video. A big thank you to all of you out there for being part of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, kindly subscribe to this channel. Subscribe now as a way of giving us support. For notification about new videos, click on the bell icon. You will find the bell icon. Click on it so that whenever a new video is uploaded, you will be instantly notified. If you have actually enjoyed the video, like and share the video with your friends and relatives. This is very important. If you have any comments, leave your comments below. Any questions, any suggestions, we would gladly receive them and respond promptly and positively to them. See you in the next video. I look forward to always seeing you in the new video.